Lei Lin travels with his intelligence and becomes an apprentice wizard with noble status. By utilizing his own advantages, he learns to become a wizard and gains the inheritance of a sorcerer. He embarks on a journey of bloodline, embarking on a series of adventures in the mysterious and eerie wizarding world, and finally obtains an eternal story. Regarding updates. There is a minimum of 2 updates per day, at 6 p.m. and 15 p.m., with updates usually scheduled at 21 p.m. Details. 1. For every 100 monthly tickets or subscription increases, 1 change will be added. 2. Add 1 update for every 2,000 increase in collection. 3. Reward the appearance of an elder level player, with 1 extra shift and 3 shifts for the alliance leader. 4. For every 20,000 increase in total recommendations or 200,000 increase in total clicks, 1 update will be added each. Note: due to the author's coding speed and other reasons, some editions may be delayed, but the latest time should not exceed 1 week. We apologize for any inconvenience caused. Keywords of the novel. Wizards of the Witch World no pop-ups, Wizards of the Witch World complete collection download, Wizards of the Witch World latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Crossing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Crossing PS. If you want to hear more of your voice and receive more suggestions, please search the WeChat official account Dream now and pay more attention to give more support to Wizard Warlock. My head hurts so much. This was Fong Ming's first impression after waking up, as if a hole had been made in his head, and the pain felt as if it was about to crack open. The scene in front of him seemed to be on a carriage, with his body constantly undulating and affecting the wound, causing Fong Ming to gasp for air in pain. Open your eyes and examine your surroundings. At the entrance, there was a wall surrounded by open wooden boards, surrounded by many Western youths with blonde hair and blue eyes, each sitting with their eyes closed, but no one glanced at it. It seemed like he was lying on the floor, and Fong Ming felt the cold floor under him. He knew that if he lay down again, his body would not be able to bear it and he would also catch a cold. He quickly struggled to get up. At this moment, there was another sharp pain in my mind. The pain suddenly came, accompanied by many unfamiliar memories. Fong Ming rolled his eyes and fainted again. Hi. Lei Lin. Wake up. In a daze, Fong Ming heard the sound and couldn't help but open his eyes. Is this a time travel? Fong Ming remembers very clearly that the last thing he saw was the brilliant flames generated by the explosion of a negative energy reactor. Such a level of explosion, without any protection, is absolutely impossible for oneself to survive. Moreover, on my own planet, this style of carriage and wooden board is no longer an old antique from many years ago. By organizing the extra memories in his mind, Fong Ming gained some understanding of this body in the world. This is a world similar to the Middle Ages in the West, with mysterious forces still present. My current body was originally called Lei Lin. Farrell, the son of a nobleman, was discovered to have a talent for wizarding in John. Viscount Farrell, through the operation of his physical father, was able to become a wizard apprentice, and now he is on the carriage heading to the Wizarding Academy. Looking at the person who woke him up, the target was a big boy. With thick eyebrows and big eyes, a tall and straight nose, and a head of brilliant golden long hair, although the face is still somewhat immature, the body is covered with strong muscles, looking very masculine. Seeing Fong Ming wake up, the big boy smiled happily and said, Lei Lin, you finally wake up. In a few minutes at night, you won't be able to make it to dinner. I guess you don't want to go hungry." Fong Ming's eyes drooped, and with a slight recollection, he knew the identity of this person. "George, thank you." The young girls and boys who were able to rush to the Wizarding Academy with him were all tested to have wizarding qualifications. This George is the legitimate son of an earl, and it is said that he is also very favored by the earl. This time, a lot of love and resources were spent on George's ability to go to the academy. "Count," Fong Ming said to himself. Thinking of my own physical father again, John. Viscount Farrell, this is a local emperor with a territory close to the size of a city in his past life and thousands of soldiers under his command. In this world, status is linked to strength. George's father, since he is an earl, has at least a few city lords in his territory, with an annual income of thousands of gold coins. Such strength, even at a great cost, how did his father send him here? Fong Ming thought, and another sharp pain came to his mind, and a picture came to mind. That was in a dark secret room, with a yellowed wooden frame emitting an ancient aura, surrounded by pungent dust. Under the light, John. Farrell solemnly handed a ring to Raylan and said, "Dear Raylan, this is the treasure of our Farrell family. It is an agreement with a wizard. My grandfather, who once helped an injured wizard, gave him this ring, promising that if his descendants have talent, they can use this ring to become a wizard apprentice and enter a wizarding academy to study without any admission fees. Now, I give it to you, hoping that you will pass on the glory of the Farrell family." Ring. Fong Ming's pupils tightened and his right hand unconsciously touched his chest. Under the silk clothes, there is a hard touch, as if there is an iron ring placed underneath. Fong Ming breathed a sigh of relief in his heart and said, "Fortunately. I don't know if it's those people who have poor judgment and still have constraints, but they didn't get searched." For the mysterious power, Fong Ming, who was a scientist in his past life, was very curious and full of desire and hope to explore the truth. And he also doesn't want to be driven back to his family because he lost important admission documents. Although I have occupied this body and accepted memories, unfortunately, there is still a difference between me and the original Raylan Farrell. My family who has been with him for more than a decade must be able to see it. If it is believed to be possessed by a devil and a mysterious wizard is invited for examination, I really can't hide my grip from the past. But if you enter a wizarding academy, you don't have to go back for at least a few years. Even if there are some changes, it's normal. Not to mention, becoming a wizard will make your personality become eccentric and strange, just like before, which is abnormal. While contemplating, a pair of powerful hands lifted Fong Ming up. "What are you thinking?" George asked. "Nothing. Nothing." Fong Ming quickly shook his head and touched it again, feeling still very painful. Suddenly turning around and staring at George, it made George's heart tighten as if he was being watched by a venomous snake. "Dear George, why haven't you called me when I've been lying on the floor for so long?" Fong Ming rolled his eyes and asked. "Hee hee. I didn't think you liked lying down because you slept so soundly." George seemed embarrassed to scratch his head and explain, but a cunning light appeared in his eyes. Under Fong Ming's murderous gaze, he finally raised his hands and surrendered. "All right. All right. Whoever makes you offend my goddess, it's okay to offend. For the sake of brothers, George is not stingy either. Unfortunately, the whole car is hostile to you. I don't want to be isolated. Offensive. Goddess." Fong Ming scratched his head and suddenly remembered the reason for being beaten. That happened to a girl named Besta. Although she was only 15 or 16 years old, she was very beautiful with big watery eyes, which was more attractive to the previous Lei Lin. The Lei Lin from the beginning was just a playboy, a great calamity in the territory. Looking back at this point, Fong Ming rolled his eyes and said, "Why is this body so weak?" It turns out it's not just because of injuries. Continuing to think back, Raylan became accustomed to domineering in his territory and did not know how to restrain himself when he saw Besta. First of all, it can be said that it was a normal show of hospitality, and then later on, I planned to force myself. After seeing this, Fong Ming gave Lei Lin a foolish evaluation in his heart. She's still a princess from a small country. She actually wants to be strong. Is there nothing else in Lei Lin's mind except for slurry? The rest of the story goes without saying. Lei Lin was severely scolded by a group of flower protectors and even died because of it, giving Fong Ming a discount. Hee hee. This Besta doesn't seem easy, he's very scheming. Fong Ming sneered and thought. Forget it. Anyway, since I have taken over your body, if there is a chance in the future, I will naturally seek revenge for you. As for now, I am Raylan Farrell. Fong Ming swore in his heart. In Lei Lin's memory, he had never seen a yellow race, let alone heard of Chinese names. In this Western fantasy world, using a Chinese name would be too awkward and dangerous. Looking around again, the spacious carriage was already empty, no wonder George came to call him at this moment. Anyway, thank you. George, do you have any wound medicine? Fong Ming stood up and moved his body. Although there were still slight pain in a few places, it didn't affect his movement, and there was also a blood scab on the back of his head. Hee hee. I knew you needed this. George chuckled and threw a small bottle away. This is a secret made by my family. I heard it's used for night training and has a great effect on body damage. As George spoke, he looked around like a thief and said, all right. Dinner is about to start, I'll go first. Hurry up and finish your medicine before coming over. Also, remember not to tell anyone about our relationship. After speaking, he sneaked away like the wind. Watching George disappear from behind, Lei Lin couldn't help but stroke his forehead. Judging from this situation, Lei Lin definitely offended the public. What kind of revenge is this? Isn't it just about teasing women? In Lei Lin's memory, this world is still relatively open to this aspect. At this point, no matter how much, quickly take off your clothes and apply ointment to the injured area. Shoo, damn George, don't you know you can give me the medicine before leaving? Lei Lin took a deep breath and applied ointment to himself. This ointment really has some effect. As soon as Lei Lin rubbed it on, a refreshing sensation came from the wound, relieving the pain. After dealing with his injuries, Lei Lin put on his clothes and opened the car door. Hoo! A gentle breeze blows, and the yellow sun in the distance slowly sets, bringing a layer of golden light to everything. Anyway, it's great to be alive. Lei Lin's eyes seemed moist as he murmured. Looking around, more than a dozen huge carriages surrounded a rudimentary temporary camp, with a campfire burning in the middle. Many teenagers and girls lay blankets on the ground, sit on them to rest, play, and occasionally take a few bites of the bread in their hands. Lei Lin walked straight towards a long table with a lot of bread and juice on it. According to memory, that was the place where food was distributed. As we approached, we saw a few people queuing up. When Lei Lin came over, they all had contemptuous looks. Although Lei Lin thinks he has thick skin, he still can't bear it. But I didn't leave either. Anyway, I still have to eat. Hurry up. A hoarse voice sounded. Yes. I'm sorry. Lord Engri. A boy with spots on his face apologized quickly, took his own portion of food, and ran away. Drip. Danger alarm. Danger alarm. It's too close to the source of danger, so we suggest that the subject should stay away from more than 1 kilometer immediately. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Chips. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Chips. If you want to hear more of your voice and receive more of your suggestions, now search the WeChat official account, Dream, and pay more attention to give more support to Wizard Warlock. This is. Listening to the mechanical sound in his mind, Lei Lin's pupils suddenly dilated. Isn't this the assistive chip in my mind before? How could it also follow through? This is not scientific. Lei Lin couldn't believe it in his heart and immediately said in his mind, Chip. Scan my brain to find the location of the assistive system. Drip. Scanning completed. No foreign objects found in the subject's brain. In just an instant, the sound of chip mechanization sounded. Then scan the whole body again and display the body data. Another mechanical sound. Drip. Scanning completed. Fong Ming, Raylan Farrell, strength. 0.4 Agility. 0.5 Constitution. 0.4 Status. Postcranial hemorrhage, multiple soft tissue injuries. No chips found inside the main body. In front of Lei Lin, a three-dimensional figure appeared, displaying Lei Lin's own body, and data was also marked on one side. Don't you have a chip? I'll just say, a chip is the essence. How could it possibly travel with my soul? Lei Lin thought to himself, it seems that there was a mutation in the process of explosion or travel. The function of the chip merged with my soul. If it were still in the previous world, this would be a significant discovery. Not only did it prove the existence of the soul, but it also revealed the possibility of mutual transformation between matter and soul. This would definitely drive the old heads of the National Academy of Sciences crazy, but unfortunately, they will never see it again. This type of chip is a must-have for scientists in previous lives. Because of human rights and mental issues, there is no intelligence, only two functions, analysis and storage. The analysis function can collect data samples and perform simulation deduction based on the main command. The storage function is even simpler, as it can record all the information experienced by the subject's facial features. According to past life calculations, the storage area of this chip is enough to record everything that happened over tens of thousands of years. Why do chips merge with the soul? This question can only be considered and we have the ability and conditions in the future. However, with chips, I have capital in this world. At the corner of Lei Lin's mouth, a brilliant smile suddenly appeared. He deeply knows that in this still medieval era, with the crystallization of future technology, the future path will definitely not be ordinary. However, Lei Lin's physique is really. Looking at the data in front of him, Lei Lin was speechless again. This is based on the physiological indicators of an adult. In theory, for a normal adult, all indicators should be around 1. Although Lei Lin is only 13 or 14 years old, the data is still quite low. No, I can't say it's the human body in this world, which is generally weak. Chip, scan the body data of a few people around. DD, task established. Start collecting data. Almost instantly, in front of Lei Lin, three-dimensional images of the bodies of several people around him appeared, with data annotated around them. Name unknown, gender. Male strength. 0.9 agility. 1.1 physical fitness. 0.8 inch, name unknown, gender. Male strength. 1.2 agility. 0.9 physical fitness. 1.0 inch, unknown name, gender. Female strength. 0.8 agility. 1.2 physical fitness. 0.7 inch, okay. It seems that the physique of humans in this world is generally stronger than that of humans in the future world. Lei Lin is not even as good as a girl. I blush for him. Lei Lin swept around, surrounded by teenagers about his age, especially a girl who looked delicate and weak. When he also left Lei Lin for a few streets, he was completely hopeless. Now it seems that this Lei Lin is just a lazy and lascivious waste. Unknown name, gender. Male strength. 3.3 agility. 2.5 physical fitness. 3.2 warning. Warning. This creature is too dangerous, it is recommended that the subject immediately stay away from more than 1 kilometer. The red alarm flashed 3 times, causing Lei Lin to be directly shocked. An average of 3.0 data. Lei Lin continued, scanning several times to ensure that the chip was not faulty, and then became speechless. Even a world champion cannot meet this standard. In his past life, this person could have dressed up as Superman in underwear. As a scientist, Lei Lin is very clear that the physique of 3.2 represents a person's ability to resist attacks, virus resistance, and body recovery speed, all of which are more than 3 times that of ordinary people. All physical indicators are 3 times that of an average person, but it's not as simple as adding them up. What is this concept? The representative is that this person can defeat dozens or even hundreds of besieged people with bare hands, and in his past life, he is like a little superhero. I'm afraid only genetically modified biochemical humans in the laboratory have this data, and they can only achieve one. This world is indeed not simple. Lei Lin thought to himself and glanced at the person with such terrifying power again. That is the person in black who is responsible for distributing food. He looks middle-aged and has a scar on his face that runs from his forehead to his lips, almost cutting his entire face in two. He looks very fierce. The spotted boy before was scared by him. This is the college servant responsible for picking us up. It is said that he is not a wizard yet, but he is so terrifying. What kind of real wizard should he be? Lei Lin suddenly realized that he had a strong interest and curiosity in the profession of wizarding, and wished he could go to the academy now to explore the truth. The team was very short, and it was immediately Lei Lin's turn. After Black Scar gave Lei Lin a portion of white bread and juice, he didn't even say a word and waved his hand, looking impatient. If it were Lei Lin before, even if he didn't dare to drag this person out and whip him a few times because he wasn't at home, his face would definitely not look good, and he would even curse a few words. But now Lei Lin naturally wouldn't be so foolish. According to memory, he gave a slight aristocratic salute and said, "Thank you, sir." The man in black remained expressionless as he watched Lei Lin turn and leave. Oh. I didn't expect that. Lei Lin, he really looks like a nobleman when he behaves politely. The two young men following behind couldn't help but whisper to each other. Hurry up. Scarface's voice rang out, suddenly exploding near the ears of these two people. The loud noise even frightened a young man to the point of sitting directly on the ground. Lei Lin ignored the subsequent discussion and looked at the cold gazes around him with a bitter smile. Okay. I'm really an unwelcome person, he said, looking at George. He quickly turned his head away and waved his hand behind his back, making a secret signal. Ah. All right. For the sake of medicine, I won't expose you. Lei Lin sighed and found a more remote place, regardless of whether it was carpeted or not. He sat down and started eating big. This truffle white bread is not as delicious as it was in the past life. But in Raylan's memory, it was already a holiday food. Lei Lin was eating while thinking. According to Lei Lin's memory, the productivity of this world is still very low. White bread is the food of the nobility, and ordinary little nobles only take it out to enjoy during grand festivals and celebrations. For ordinary farmers, hard and nutrient-free black bread is the ultimate delicacy. Thinking of the hard black bread he had seen in his memory that could be used as a stone, Lei Lin sighed and said, "Fortunately, I'm lucky. Whether it's nobles or wizards, we're all the upper echelons of this world and don't have to endure hardship." He wolfed down the bread in his hand and drank all the juice in one gulp. Only then did Lei Lin wipe his mouth with satisfaction and return to the carriage. Based on past experience, noble youths would set up tents on campsites and rest overnight before setting off, but it was obvious that no one would invite Raylan. He didn't bring his own tent and only slept on a cold and hard carriage. Just now I took a quick look, there are over 50 apprentices, 20.5 in black robes, and 3 in the highest-ranking white robe. Thinking about the scene just now, when he was only noticed from a distance, Lei Lin still had some cold hairs on his head. Especially the prompt for the chip reads, "Unknown radiation source detected and unable to scan due to unknown force field interference." It also cast a shadow over Lei Lin's heart. It seems that even with chips, I am still weak in this world. However, that's why I crave the power of wizards even more. Lei Lin's eyes seemed to ignite flames. It's better to go to bed early. We still have to hurry tomorrow. Lei Lin took off his coat and threw himself on the ground to sleep comfortably. It has been over 3 months since we embarked on our journey, passing through more than a dozen kingdoms, yet we have not yet reached our destination. The ancient transportation conditions are really Close your eyes and, in a daze, after an unknown amount of time, the carriage door slammed open. Lei Lin suddenly stood up, and immediately, a scent of rose fragrance could be smelled in his nose. It was fragrant and sweet, very pleasant to smell, and even made his body tremble, evoking his memories. Lei Lin. Are you okay? A pleasant female voice came in. Is it Besta? Please come in. Lin stepped aside. The fragrance of flowers in the carriage suddenly became stronger, followed by a beautiful young girl. Fair skin, only wearing red tight-fitting clothes. He has a black hair clip on his head. What impressed Lei Lin even more was the girl's platinum hair, blood ruby-like eyes, and beautiful face, which looked very beautiful. This is the girl who caused Raylin to be beaten and died for it, Besta. May I ask what's going on? Although the girl is well developed and looks good, for Fang Ming, who comes from another world and has long experienced chaos, she just has a slight beauty. Shown as cold and indifferent. It was obvious that this attitude surprised the girl across from her, and she couldn't express the words she had originally prepared. After a long silence, he took out a small glass bottle from his arms and placed it in Lei Lin's hand. This is medicine, just wipe it on your body. Yes. I'm sorry. The girl bowed again and delivered the medicine, which moved Lei Lin's heart. My novel Wizard of the Witch will have more new content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% raffle for everyone. Now open WeChat, click the plus number on the top right to add friends, search the official account, Dream, and follow, and speed up. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Nights. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Nights PS. If you want to hear more of your voice and receive more suggestions, please search the WeChat official account, Dream, now and pay more attention to give more support to Wizard Warlock. P.S. If you want to hear more of your voice and receive more suggestions, please search the WeChat official account, Dream, now and pay more attention to give more support to Wizard Warlock. After apologizing, the girl ran away like a frightened deer, leaving only a fragrant breeze in the air. Looking at the red corner of his clothes that had disappeared from his eyes, Lei Lin was puzzled and said, "It's clear that Lei Lin was teasing you. What are you apologizing for? Is there something wrong with your mind?" Then he touched the medicine bottle in his hand and said, "Did you think wrong before? This Besta is actually a kind-hearted girl." Lei Lin looked at the small glass bottle in his hand with some curiosity and said, "We can already burn glass. Although the craftsmanship looks rough, it's also good." Immediately opening the bottle cap, a fragrance of medicine emanated. The habit brought by his past life made Lei Lin say, "Chips. Scan drugs. Analyze ingredients. Drip. Task established. Start scanning. Discover unknown components and start building simulation experiments. The experiment is over. Unknown drug effect. Strong itching effect. Duration. 7 days. Lei Lin was speechless for a while as he looked at the experimental results. I'll take back what I said before. This girl really has a dark heart. But soon, some adults felt like they were watching mischievous children play pranks. I'm still a child. I can't use any cruel means. If it's a few more years, what's in this bottle should be a highly toxic potion, right? Lei Lin looked at the glass bottle in his hand, thought for a moment, and put it in his arms. Keep it, maybe it can be useful in the future. After Besta came, no one came to disturb him. Lei Lin lay down again, seemingly asleep, but his mind was rapidly pondering. Now following me to the Wizarding Academy, there is no danger of revealing my identity. Those white robes should be wizards. I have walked in front of them several times, but they haven't caught my attention. It seems that they still can't detect the abnormalities on me. The confidence of going to the Wizarding Academy has increased a few points. But there are rumors that the wizards inside are all mysterious and cruel incarnations. According to Viscount John's inquiry, it seems that in the academy, although killing each other is prohibited, competition among peers is still fierce, and we need to find some self-defense. Thinking of this, he took out the ring hanging around his neck and held it in his hand. This ring is dark and inconspicuous, with only a small, white pattern on the inner ring and complex patterns around it. It's unbelievable to carve such a complex pattern on a ring at the level of the Middle Ages. But anything that is associated with a wizard, no matter what happens, is not surprising. Leyland murmured and issued another command. Chip. Scan the ring in my hand. Drip. Task established. Start scanning. Unknown metal composition found, compared to the database. Insufficient data, unable to analyze. Sure enough. With the current level of chips, it's still too difficult to analyze the items left by wizards. Lei Lin sighed and still put away the ring. How can we improve our strength? This body is really weak. It can't even compare to peers. How can we do this? In the past life, genetic modification could still be done, but now it's obvious that we don't have this condition. Let's take a look at Leilin's memory, maybe there's a way. Leilin thought to himself and found the most comfortable position to lie down. He said in his mind, Chip. Organize and back up Leilin's memories. Didi, task establishment. Start organizing. In the world of Raylan's past life, the scientific community has always believed that most of the human brain has not yet been developed, and among them, there are all the memories from birth to the present. Some memories, even if I can't remember them, must still exist in my mind. Now, with the help of the chip, all the memories of Raleigh's life, from birth to being selected as a wizard apprentice and embarking on a journey, are completely present in front of Raleigh as he gives orders. Even the food and taste of each meal were vividly displayed in Raylan's mind without reservation. These memories are too complicated and contain a lot of useless information. Before, Lei Lin only took some urgent items and put them aside. Now, through chips, they are all sorted out one by one. The data is sorted out. The chip prompt sound came. Create a new document, name it Raylan Farrell, store it. Raylan issued a new command. Didi. Document Raylan Farrell established. Establish a task and search for methods that can help the subject improve their strength as soon as possible. Didi, task established, start searching. In front of Lei Lin, countless data images flow through, forming a beautiful light curtain. Search ended. 453 methods found. So much. Lei Lin pondered, remove those with a feasibility level below 50%, and attach the condition. It can be done now. Re-screen. Drip. Filtering has ended, remaining methods. 2 types. Show all. Option 1. Become a wizard. Option 2. Conduct night training. Plan 1 is not realistic now. How can one become a wizard without going to the Wizarding Academy? What is this night training like? Leilin murmured and immediately assigned a new task. Chip, organize the memories of night training and pass them on to my memory. With the transmission of data, Raylan also understood what this so-called night was. In this world, it is full of mysterious powers, but the one that ordinary people come into contact with the most is still knights. The so-called knight refers to a powerful warrior who has undergone arduous training, stimulated the life energy in his body, and has far exceeded the physical fitness of ordinary people. To become a wizard, you need specific talents. Among tens of thousands of people, not one may have them, but knights are different. As long as you are willing to work hard, everyone can become a knight. These knights not only have several times the physical fitness of ordinary people, but are also proficient in various weapon usage methods and killing techniques. Some knights even master secret skills that can explode in an instant. All knights constitute the aristocratic class and the ruling foundation of secular kingdoms. The Farrell family, where Raylan belonged, was also a knightly family and the first chieftain. By following the king's campaigns and establishing meritorious deeds, he obtained the current viscount's title as a fiefdom. After the general description, Ley-Lin recalled a scene. That was in the small forest of the viscount's mansion. Viscount John Farrell, dressed in samurai attire and with a serious expression, said to Farrell, who was still a young child, "Today, I will teach you the secret cross swordsmanship and breathing techniques of our Farrell family. You must remember them well and not pass them on." At that time, Viscount John's expression was unprecedentedly serious. But Ley-Lin, who was still a young child, clearly didn't take this matter to heart and forgot it after seeing it. Afterwards, Viscount John forced him to train several times, but he was afraid of hardship and fatigue, and it didn't end. Alas! Your kind father is so defeated. Ley-Lin finally knew how his predecessor's playboy temper had been cultivated. Although Ley-Lin, who was young, only knew how to indulge in promiscuity and forget the family's secret knight cultivation method, he still faithfully restored it to Ley-Lin through the chip. Cross-sword basic swordsmanship. Horizontal slash, vertical slash, direct sting, slant step by step. Progress, retreat, dodge. There is also a matching breathing method, all of which appear in Raylan's mind, followed by the experience of Professor Viscount John. Finally, there was the scene of Viscount John spitting out white air from his mouth, waving his cross sword, and splitting a rock the size of a grinding disc into two pieces. Sigh. Knights are just the bottom layer of mysterious power, so powerful. What realm is that wizard still above them? Ley-Lin's eyes were fanatical. Ah. Let's take a look at the knight breathing technique first. Anyway, the training of knights is not in conflict with the learning of wizards, and it can also give me a bit of self-protection power. With careful study, Ley-Lin found that the so-called breathing method in this world is somewhat similar to the internal qigong of previous lives, but it is much rougher, relying entirely on external stimuli to stimulate life energy. According to rumors, if one has not yet stimulated their energy through knight training, then only by going to the battlefield and engaging in fierce blood battles can they possibly trigger life energy and become a knight. Chip, first perform the transmission of cross swordsmanship. Ley-Lin ordered. Immediately, a large amount of knowledge about swordsmanship cultivation was transmitted to Ley-Lin's mind and firmly engraved in his mind, just as he had been trained hard since childhood. Separate the cross swordsmanship and generate a new document named Cross Sword Foundation. A new document, Cross Sword Foundation, has been established. As the sound of the chip came, Ley-Lin's lips curved with a smile. Through the chip, his learning speed was so fast that any so-called genius would be ashamed to commit suicide. I already have my memory, and then I will find a cross sword and practice it in practice. In just 10 days, I will have confidence in elevating cross swordsmanship to the level of Viscount John. These swordsmanship are just killing techniques, knight training, and most importantly, the accompanying breathing techniques. Ley-Lin muttered to himself. Chip. Based on my various data, establish a model for practicing breathing techniques. DD Mission Establishment. Character Model Establishment. Start deduction. With the mechanical sound, Ley-Lin saw a three-dimensional figure, which was translucent and suffused with blue light, just like him. He is a 13 or 14-year-old Western boy with brown hair, thick eyebrows, and big eyes. The three-dimensional figure continues to breathe, adjusting a specific frequency and intensity, gradually forming a red line that constantly wanders through the three-dimensional figure model. A few minutes later, the simulation was over, and the sound of the chip came. The simulation is over. The cross-sword breathing method is matched, and it takes 30 minutes to complete one time. After running it 10 times, it will increase the main body's strength by 0.05, agility by 0.06, and physique by 0.03. This effect gradually decreases. Training with this method will cause sequelae to the body, and it is recommended that the main body be cautious. Ha! Am I truly worthy of being a knight's training method? As long as I persist, I can quickly master power. It's just this hidden injury, I wonder if there's any way to eliminate it. Lei Lin smiled and said. At this moment, the sound of the chip sounded. Have you optimized the breathing method? Yes, no. How could the chip still have this effect? Lei Lin's face suddenly showed a happy expression. P.S. Pink and tender new book, please support us. Thank you. The novel Wizard of the Witch will have more new content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lottery gift for you. Now open WeChat, click the plus sign at the top right to add friends, search the official account, Dream, and follow it, and speed up. The novel Wizard of the Witch will have more new content on the official WeChat platform, and there will also be a 100% lottery gift for you. Now open WeChat, click the plus sign at the top right to add friends, search the official account, Dream, and follow it, and speed up. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Cultivation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Cultivation PS. If you want to hear more of your voice and receive more suggestions, please search the WeChat official account, Dream, now and pay more attention to give more support to Wizard Warlock. I didn't expect that the analysis function of the chip would also have an impact on the knight's breathing technique in this world. Lei Lin sighed and said, optimize now. Optimization begins, expected time consumption. 125 minutes. Well, 125 minutes, which is just over 2 hours, I can afford to wait. Lei Lin seemed to relax. As I waited anxiously for 2 hours, the sound of the chip rang out on time. The optimization of breathing method has ended, the running time has been shortened by 5 minutes and 23 seconds, and all effects have been improved by 5%. The sequelae of body injury have disappeared. Very good. This result is very satisfying for Lei Lin. If the effect is increased by 5% at once, the difference will be too large after dozens or hundreds of times. It is rumored that this cross-swordsmanship and its accompanying breathing technique were obtained from a knight's corpse after dozens of bloody battles by the first clan chief. Among many knight families, they can also be considered worthy. And after chip optimization, the breathing method may already be comparable to the secret recipe hidden by the Little Kingdom. Lei Lin pondered to himself and immediately said impatiently, Chip, transfer the optimized breathing method to the memory area. The chip faithfully executed the command, stuffing a large number of scenes of practicing breathing techniques into Raylan's mind. The teleportation ended a few minutes later, and Lei Lin rubbed his head. I feel a bit dizzy, but this is a normal phenomenon. At this moment, his mind was filled with a lot of memories of practicing breathing techniques, as well as various experiences of cooperating with cultivation. Compared to ordinary people, he had to take fewer detours. I didn't think so before, but here, having a chip gives me a huge advantage over ordinary people. Lei Lin muttered, with a chip, through simulation analysis, I can instantly gain the experience that other people can only gain after 10 years of bloodshed and hard work. All I need to do is follow the chip prompts and continue in the most correct direction. There are many taboos in practicing breathing techniques, some of which cannot be felt through verbal description. It is necessary to practice firsthand and take some detours before awakening. And all of these have been avoided through chip modeling and analysis. Let's give it a try. Lei Lin thought, lying on the ground in a big shape. According to the description of breathing techniques and the advice of the chip, when practicing this cross-sword with breathing techniques, there is no need for special movement coordination, just find the position that feels most comfortable to oneself. First, hold your breath for 65 seconds, then take 3 long and 1 short breaths, with a length and frequency of. Lei Lin gradually entered a state of cultivation according to the description of the breathing method. The whole person seemed to have fallen asleep, with a flushed face and bulging temples, as if they were engaging in some kind of exercise. As time passed, Laylin's face became increasingly red, and finally, a faint black sweat flowed out. This process lasted for about 20 minutes, and Laylin opened his eyes and opened his mouth to vomit. Whew! A long breath of black gas was exhaled. There were also crackling sounds coming from all over the body. Laylin stood up and moved his lower limbs, feeling hot all over, as if he had experienced a vigorous exercise. Chip, display my body data. Laylin ordered. Raylan Feral Strength. 0.4 Agility. 0.5 Constitution. 0.4 Status. Minor injury medium. Laylin's face remained unchanged. Change the data display mode to 10 decimal places, retrieve the data before cultivation, and compare it. With Laylin's command, a screen of light flashed before my eyes. The data that originally represented physical fitness had been extended by 9 decimal places, and the last 3 digits were still constantly changing. Drip. By comparison, after night training, the main strength increased by 0.005, agility increased by 0.006, and physique increased by 0.004. Chip faithfully feedback information. As it's my first time practicing, the data is still rising. Laylin analyzed. Just over 20 minutes of cultivation, the added data is quite impressive. As long as you persist and reach the body data of the black-robed person, it's just a matter of time. So, those dozen or so black robes are knights. Laylin thought lightly. Unfortunately, based on memory and chip analysis, breathing techniques have cultivation limitations. The breathing techniques passed down from the feral family can only be performed once a day, which not only has no effect but also causes harm to the body. Chip, is there any way for me to practice breathing techniques a few more times a day? Laylin asked. Need medication? The chip gave a faint feedback. List the required medications. The chip lists a plethora of drug names, all of which are drugs from the past lives of Raleigh. Can we use other drugs or animal and plant ingredients instead? This is clearly impossible, Laylin frowned and asked. We need to provide samples for drug analysis, but currently there is insufficient data, the chip prompted. As long as there's a way. Laylin breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at myself again, a large amount of dirt flowing out from practicing breathing techniques covered my whole body, which felt sticky and uncomfortable to the touch. Laylin frowned and said, it seems like we're going to take a shower. Getting out of the carriage, it was already midnight, and the resting aristocratic youths were sleeping soundly in the tent. Laylin walked out of the carriage lightly and ran towards a nearby small river. Warning. Humans approaching. The chip sounded a warning sound. Laylin pretended not to notice anything and kept walking. What are you doing? A voice rang out from behind Laylin. Very fast. Laylin's pupils narrowed. I have already paid attention in advance, but I still haven't been able to notice how he came behind me. If he has any bad ideas, then I will have no room to resist. On the surface, he still pretended to be startled and said, Ah. Who? Who? Turning around and looking back, he saw the black-robed man who was distributing food during the day. Laylin remembered his name was Ingri. Hello, Lord Ingri. I'm just a little dirty and want to take a shower. Laylin's face turned pale, as if frightened, and he couldn't even speak fluently. Taking a shower. The black-robed man frowned and sniffed, indeed smelling a foul odor from Laylin. Okay. It's quite dangerous here at night, especially for noble young masters like you. Hurry up and wash back. Ingri, dressed in black, said without paying attention to Raylan and turned to walk towards the center of the carriage, where his tent was. Thank you for your reminder. Lord Ingri. Regardless of whether the person heard it or not, Laylin still bowed and said. Being cautious has always been his guiding principle in life. Seeing Ingray leave completely, he took his steps and walked towards the direction of the small river. After Ingray walked into his tent, he pulled down his hood and revealed a face that had been split in half. Are the body impurities excreted by practicing the night breathing technique? What a nostalgic taste. Seeing their immaturity reminds me of my past youthful self. Unfortunately, if I had been a nobleman before, I wouldn't have risked experimenting with wizards just to obtain the night training technique, and now it's like this. Ingray whispered, her figure connected to the tent, almost indistinguishable. As Lei Lin walked, he seemed to casually pick up the wild flowers and grass on the roadside, sometimes even putting them in his mouth. I believe that Ingray in the black robe must have discovered something, but it's okay. It's really normal for the aristocratic heir to practice the night breathing technique. And he has the physical fitness of a knight, so he definitely has his own breathing method, so he doesn't like me. Besides, if he wants it, it's not a big deal. I'll just copy him. Amidst the huge gap in strength, Raylan had no intention of keeping the Farrell family a secret. However, it seems that Ingray also doesn't appreciate the knightly training methods of the little nobles. Grass roots chewed in his mouth, giving off a bitter taste, but Lei Lin didn't care, even feeling like he was back in his childhood. Analysis completed, no beneficial ingredients found for the subject. The sound of the chip came. Puff. Lei Lin spat out the grass roots in his mouth and replaced them with another plant. Record and archive the morphological components of the previous plants, and now proceed to the next analysis. Lei Lin ordered in his mind. Task establishment. Starting to collect components. Simulating experimental analysis. Through the front light screen, Lei Lin can clearly see the progress of the chip. Drop. The experiment is over. Unknown plant ingredients have a slight numbing effect. According to Lei Lin's memory, this is called 3-night grass chip. Name it 3-night grass and store it in the database. Drip. Archived. This is red fruit, the taste seems pretty good. Lei Lin cleared a bunch of shrubs and found several red plant fruits. This fruit is only the size of Lei Lin's thumb and grows on the top of a vine covered in thorns, looking very beautiful. Lei Lin carefully avoided the thorns and picked one of the red fruits. As soon as it was bitten into the mouth, a crisp sound sounded, and the sweet juice was squeezed out, filling the mouth. The taste is the same as an apple, but it needs to be sweeter, Lei Lin commented. Chip. Analysis. Along the way, Lei Lin stored over 30 types of plant data, but unfortunately, none of them were useful to him. Arriving at the edge of the small river, the roaring water pounded against the stones, making a sound that was even more piercing on a peaceful night. Chip. Scan the surrounding environment. Lei Lin ordered, even if Ingray in the black robe didn't remind him, he had a chance to avoid danger by relying on the chip. Drip. The scanning of the surrounding environment is over. No dangerous situations have been found within 20 miles. The chip faithfully responded to the message. It's good if there's no danger. I don't want to be forced to flee back to the campsite for help halfway through the wash. That would definitely make me the biggest laughingstock. Lei Lin muttered, taking off his coat and underwear, naked, and entered the river. The cold river water pounced on him, making him shiver with excitement. The water is so cold, I begin to miss the old water heater. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Cross Sword. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Cross Sword PS. If you want to hear more of your voice and receive more suggestions, please search the WeChat official account Dream now and pay more attention to give more support to Wizard Warlock. Ding. 2 iron swords clashed together, making a crisp sound. Raylan. You're not my opponent, give up. George said with a laugh as he held the hilt in both hands. There's still a long way to go. Lei Lin whispered, stepping on strange steps and launching another attack. Drink. George swung out his long sword and let out a fierce wind. Lei Lin's crossed swords crossed horizontally, blocking George's attack. Okay. The blocking posture is good. George praised loudly. Be careful. I'm going to attack your left foot next. Come on. Lei Lin was ready. Look at me. George swung his large sword in both hands, cutting through a beautiful and deadly arc in the air towards Raylan's right foot. Lei Lin stepped back and crossed swords, blocking George's two-handed swords in mid-air. You're not keeping your word, even though you said it was with your left foot. Haha. This is called strategy. Test your flexibility. My dad often teaches me, but if I don't understand strategy, I will eventually be played to death by others. I just want to play to death by others, I don't want to be played to death by others. George smiled and said, then withdrew the big sword from his hand. Stop fighting. Stop fighting. You're getting stronger and stronger every time. In a few more days, I won't be able to fight you anymore. With some confusion, he scratched his head and said, Lei Lin. My swordsmanship, but I have trained it hard with the Grand Knight. The teachers say that my swordsmanship is comparable to ordinary knights. If you can draw with me, how could you be beaten by the Alines? My father taught these swordsmanship skills when he was a child, but unfortunately I forgot. Now I just want to train and remember them again. Lei Lin clenched his fist and his face turned red. When I have the strength, I must retaliate fiercely and break Olin's leg. It looks like a scene of a passionate young man striving after encountering setbacks. Dear Raylan, I believe you can definitely fulfill your wish. George patted Raylan's shoulder. With a sympathetic expression on his face, he said, even now, with your strength, you are enough to seek revenge. Through practice, George has a general understanding of Raylan's strength. I'm okay with 1 or 2 now, but there are 5 of them, Olin and the others. Lei Lin said with some worry. In fact, he is confident about dealing with the Olin group now, but if there is no excuse, how can he fool George to train with him? By the way, what was the Grand Knight you mentioned earlier? Raleigh asked casually, thinking of George's complaint just now. Are you talking about a great knight? That's a higher level of knighthood, no matter where you are, you're an absolute big shot. If you're lucky, you might even be entertained by the king. If you're willing to be loyal, you'll definitely be appointed as the commander of the army. Their physical strength has reached its limit. It is said that in the secular world, apart from the long-range phalanx composed of crossbowmen, even the charge of heavily armored cavalry cannot stop their footsteps. So powerful. Lei Lin murmured. The commander of a legion, who holds a position equivalent to a count, must bow before Viscount John sees him. Heavy armored cavalry is the pinnacle of combat power in the era of cold weapons. Once charged, even smaller city walls may be destroyed. How powerful should a great knight be able to resist with his physical strength? Seeing Raymond's yearning expression, George laughed and comforted, don't envy them. Wizards are a more mysterious and powerful force than knights. As long as you become an apprentice wizard, your status can be equivalent to that of a great knight. If you become a formal wizard, congratulations. Killing a great knight is not as difficult as stepping on an ant. Kings of all countries will compete to give you high-ranking officials and treasures. Are wizards so powerful? Lei Lin was puzzled. Why are those black robes so indifferent to us who may become wizards? They are just knights. Is that so? I'm not quite sure, but the status of a wizard is definitely very noble, as my father told me. I can guarantee it with the reputation of our Bruning family. George touched his nose and awkwardly replied. Okay. Okay. It's not that I don't believe you. Lei Lin felt a little helpless. Chip. Scan the person in front of me, silently recited in my heart, drop. Name. George Browning Strength. 1.9 Agility. 1.8 Constitution. 1.9 Status. Healthy. George's data is no longer achievable with normal training. According to him, he has been training as a knight since childhood, which has given him his current physical fitness. The outside world has a unified name for warriors who improve their physical fitness through practicing the knight breathing technique, but fail to stimulate their life energy. Preparatory Knights. George's physical fitness, even among the reserve knights, is at the top level. This is also related to his noble background and the use of a large amount of precious medicines to enhance his physical fitness. Alright, rest up, let's go back. I don't want to see those cold faces in black robes just because I'm back too late. George looked around and saw the moonlight casting a silver hue. In the silence, the chirping of insects could be heard. During the day, Lei Lin had to rush on the road, and he didn't want to attract attention, so he secretly came out to train with George at night. Of course, this cannot be concealed from Black Robe, but after several encounters, Lei Lin found that their personalities were very cold. As long as they didn't leave the camp too far and cause them trouble, they didn't care about anything. Compare again, let's go back. Lei Lin said. After comparing this time, I can also return this cross sword to you. Ha. George was originally a bit careless, but his eyes lit up. You finally used it up. Gus has been urging me to take it. To train swordsmanship, the first thing you need is a cross sword. As nobles, many young men wear samurai uniforms and wear long swords on their waists. But the previous Lei Lin didn't have it. The reason was, it was too heavy. Impact activity. Due to the inconvenience, Lei Lin embarked on a journey without even bringing a dagger to the capital, resulting in Lei Lin being in an unarmed state after crossing, unable to even find a cross sword for training and refining. In order to train his swordsmanship, Raylan turned his mind to his first friend whom he woke up to see. George. Threatening to expose friendship, let George provide free companionship and weapons. Thinking of George's pale eyes and a look of being a bad friend at the time, Raylan couldn't help but want to laugh. Although your swordsmanship has improved rapidly, don't you really need a cross sword anymore? George continued. Anyway, I'm very familiar with Gus, and borrowing it for a while won't be a big deal. Thank you for your kindness. But it's really not necessary. Lei Lin smiled and refused. After this period of practical training, he has thoroughly mastered Farrell's secret cross swordsmanship. Due to the chip, his swordsmanship will always remain at its peak and will not be affected by long-term lack of cross swords. Okay, let's have another final fight. As usual, I'll only use the same strength as you. As George spoke, he picked up his large swords and walked to the center of the grass. The bright blade of the sword shone coldly under the moonlight. Lei Lin also arrived at the venue and said, "Come on. You don't need to save your hands this time." He had an experimental idea and wanted to put it into practice here before sending out the invitation. Chip. Establish a mission. Analyze opponent's strength and surrounding environment, simulate the best defeat plan. Task establishment, start analysis. The experimental results show that the subject is unharmed and the target has lost combat effectiveness. Is the dynamic auxiliary perspective enabled? Open. With Lei Lin's command, countless blue lines suddenly appeared in front of him, as if virtualizing the venue. According to the target's response, the probability of preemptive attack is 98.99%, and the attacking area is the subject's right arm. The best response plan is to flank and jump and chop. With the sound of the chip, the blue light inside Raylan's retina also formed a shadow of George, wielding a large sword and slashing towards Raylan's right arm. Drink. Look at the sword. George drank, and really took the lead in attacking. He waved his big sword with both hands and rushed at Lei Lin. His action was exactly the same as that of the simulated phantom. Lei Lin smiled at the corner of his mouth, dodged the attack from his side, raised his crossed swords with both hands, leaped into the air, and struck fiercely. Jump and chop. Damn it! How could this be? George let out a strange cry and rolled on the spot, avoiding the edge of the crossed sword. Lei Lin's crossed sword struck the ground, splashing soil and small stones. George stood up and his face became serious. He could feel that Raylan had already anticipated his attack and knew his movements like the back of his hand. If you don't attack, I'll fight back. Lei Lin said with a smile. Just come on. George stared closely at Raylan. Lei Lin holds the crossed sword and advances straight. Every move is standardized like the actions in textbooks. George made a blocking move, but on one side of his body, he dodged the direct charge and threw a backhand towards Raylan. Best response. Turn left 50 degrees and cut horizontally. Following the chip prompt, Raylan dodged George's big sword and made another slash, almost brushing against George's body. The more he fought, the more cold sweat broke on George's face. His every move was sealed off by Lei Lin, and his range of avoidance became smaller and smaller. We can't continue like this. Let's fight. George swung his big sword and collided with Raylan. Bang! A silver light flew out and plunged straight into the grass, just like George's two-handed sword. The sword was still trembling and making a buzzing sound. On the battlefield, Raylan's crossed sword lay horizontally against George's waist. You lost. That's right. I lost. George murmured and then stared straight at Raylan. How did you do it? It's simple, after so much training, I remember your routine. Lei Lin took his sword and smiled as he saluted. My routine. George repeated. Yes, in simple terms, everyone has a habit of wielding swords. As long as you remember, you can easily set traps based on the enemy's habits. That's how I deal with you. Ha! George let out a long breath. I understand. Then he looked at Lei Lin again, as if he was looking at a monster. Your talent in swordsmanship is really the top I have ever seen. If you were not selected as a wizard apprentice, I would definitely recommend you to go to the War Theological Academy in Wangdu. P.S. The update time for this book is usually around 3 p.m. in the afternoon. We hope everyone can support us. The novel, Wizard of Wizards, will have more new content on the official WeChat platform, as well as a 100% lottery gift for everyone. Now open WeChat, click the plus number at the top right and add friends, search the official account, Dream, and follow it, and speed up. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Conflict, Seeking Collection Recommendation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Conflict, Seeking Collection Recommendation. Is it a War Theology Academy? Raylan knew that the War Theological Academy was the best knightly academy in the Kingdom of Serra, where George was located. Not only did it enroll nobles, but the admission requirements were also very strict, reportedly only accepting true geniuses. Swordsmanship is just my hobby, only wizards are my lifelong pursuit. The power of knights, although powerful, is still within the understanding range of Raylan and has not exceeded its limits. However, the legendary wizard is a powerful creature that can manipulate wind, rain, lightning, and obtain long-term life. The power of wizards has clearly exceeded the limits of humanity, and Raylan cannot imagine it. And every wizard is a knowledgeable scholar who studies everything in nature with a rigorous attitude, finds patterns, and utilizes them to gain powerful power. This style is more suitable for Raylan's previous scientific identity. Not bad. Even the Grand Knight is just a servant of a formal wizard, and the power that wizards possess is beyond our imagination. George spoke with a serious expression and an intonation of admiration. Why does anything that comes out of your mouth give me the feeling of seeing a bard? Lei Lin rolled his eyes slightly. Ha! It wasn't because my father sent me to the court to receive so-called aristocratic training that I became like this. George returned to his previous state. Suddenly blinking, he said somewhat awkwardly, Raylan, you don't have a fiancé AE yet, right? Why don't I introduce my sister Lear to you? How about being my brother? Law. Get lost. Under the moonlight, two teenagers playfully left the grassland. Good night, George. Good night. Lei Lin. Lei Lin handed the cross sword to George, said goodbye to him, and returned to the carriage. He was still the only one in the dimly lit carriage, emitting a faint smell that was a nauseating mixture of decay and sweat, causing the aristocratic youths to not want to stay in the car for long. During break time, they ran like wild horses to the grass to play. Some of the concepts in this world are very open, especially for the nobility. Through the powerful perception provided by the chip, Raylan discovered many other things, which forced him to choose a place further away from the camp for training. Thinking of the scene he saw with his extraordinary eyesight, Lei Lin felt a bit speechless, which reminded him of the memories of a playboy from the past. Unexpectedly. With a young body, even desire has increased. Lei Lin smiled bitterly. Just to calm down a bit, Chip. Retrieve my body data. Raylan feral strength. 1.5 agility. 1.6 constitution. 1.4 status. Healthy. It has been over a month since practicing the night breathing technique, and Lei Lin's current physical condition has not only caught up with his peers, but also surpassed some. When facing George, he concealed his strength, making George just a slightly mistaken guess. Not bad. It's time for today's cultivation. Lei Lin put himself in a good posture and entered a state of cultivation. This is his daily homework. According to the chip prompt, after exercising at night, he practiced breathing techniques, which had the best effect. After about 20 minutes, Lei Lin's body was soaked in sweat, but the black impurities that flowed out noticeably decreased. Ha! Lei Lin opened his eyes and looked at himself, feeling a bit helpless. The effect of the breathing technique has weakened. According to the chip calculation, the secret breathing technique of the feral family, even if optimized, will completely lose its effect after improving my physical fitness to 2. This is also the realm of a preparatory night. Next, only by working hard and stimulating life and death from the outside world, can I make progress again. Thinking of this, Lei Lin took out a yellow berry from his shirt pocket, which had some black spots on its surface, looking a bit terrifying. Lei Lin threw the berry directly into his mouth, then took out a portion of the plant's roots and chewed it in large bites. Drip. The fatigue state of the main cells has been relieved, and you can practice night breathing technique again. The sound of the chip is coming. Alright. These plant configurations were obtained by Lei Lin through continuous experiments on chips over the past month, which can effectively alleviate physical fatigue and increase the number of daily cultivation times. With the addition of some newly formulated drugs to enhance physical fitness, Lei Lin's physical fitness has improved so quickly. Come again. Lei Lin once again entered the state of night breathing. Over the past month, the convoy has passed through several small kingdoms before completely entering the wilderness. The wilderness is sparsely populated, with only desolate yellow sand, ferocious beasts, and bandits remaining active. Since the team entered here, they have encountered several dangers. Although there were no casualties, Lei Lin's sense of crisis has become stronger and stronger, and his desire for strength is also urgent. When the dawn shone brightly, the convoy embarked on a journey once again. Lei Lin held his hands on his chest and sat alone, with several teenagers around him avoiding him in disgust, leaving a space around him. I don't know what method best to use. The people in the carriage are still isolating me. If it were just an ordinary teenager, I would probably have been driven crazy long ago. Unfortunately, they met me. Lei Lin stretched lazily, feeling a bit comfortable. He had been practicing until midnight yesterday and was very tired. This free space was perfect for him to rest for a while. But this world is really big. The convoy has been advancing for almost half a year, and surprisingly, they haven't reached their destination or seen the ocean yet. Leyland thought, half squinting his eyes as he entered the supplementary sleep. Ding-ling-ling. At this moment, the carriage had stopped and the black-robed man shook the bell in his hand. Gentlemen. Ladies. Get off the car and enjoy lunch. Is it time again? Lei Lin opened his eyes. This kind of life is really boring. After getting off the carriage and receiving his own portion of food, Lei Lin bit on the white bread and walked towards a grassy area near the campsite. The substitute plants collected earlier have been used up, and Lei Lin is preparing to replenish some. As Lei Lin walked, he casually looked at the plants around him and said, "This is by Zhenghua. It's already in the database, it's useless to me." Shaman grass, this is a plant only found in the wilderness, it can be included. Lei Lin pulled up a small yellow grass. The edge of the small grass was still serrated, very sharp. Lei Lin carefully broke the grass, and a green juice flowed out from the cut. Lei Lin touched it with his finger and put it in his mouth, then showed a disappointed expression. Found, no flower snake fruit. Lei Lin left the shaman grass on the ground and walked casually. With a glance out of the corner of his eye, he found the yellow berries he had eaten yesterday in the bushes, his face showing a happy expression. Hee hee. Look what I saw. Lei Lin. Should I say I truly deserve to be a small aristocrat in the countryside? I only know how to eat wild fruits on the roadside. It really tarnishes the honor of our aristocrats. Lei Lin had just picked off the flowerless snake fruit and put it in his pocket when he heard an annoying sound in his ear. Olin. Lei Lin looked up and saw the killer who had killed the previous playboy. Olin has fiery red long hair, full of muscles on his body, and his arms are as thick as Raylan's thighs. Now he is holding his hands on his chest, mocking Raylan. There were several noble youths standing next to him, all cooperating in making mocking sounds. Chip. Scan data. Detection completed. Olin strength. 1.7 agility. 1.2 physical fitness. 1.5 status. Healthy, chip feedback information. Lei Lin looked at the data in front of him, and his strength was very good, almost as strong as 2 adults. No wonder he could beat Lei Lin to death with serious injuries. As aristocratic children, as long as they can endure hardship and exercise every day, combined with breathing techniques, this data is not surprising. The few nobles following Olin are not as strong as before, most of them are below 1. Lei Lin even saw a pale-looking young man, with data hovering around 0.5, which is comparable to Lei Lin before. Silently calculating in his heart, Olin's strength is similar to his, but in terms of swordsmanship and moves, it is impossible for him to match his own chip. The other few teenagers were just making up the numbers, with a huge difference in data. It was extremely easy to deal with them, just like adults bullying children. What's up? Lei Lin asked in an extremely calm tone. You. Lei Lin's reaction was clearly beyond Olin's expectations, without anger or fear, making him somewhat unsure how to continue. If it was for the last time about Besta, didn't I already apologize? Besta also forgave me. Raylin continued. At the same time, my heart moved. Perhaps it was Besta's temptation. After enduring it for a month, I finally couldn't resist it anymore. That's right. It's because of Besta. She forgave you, I didn't. Olin clenched his fist and spoke loudly. Okay. So what do you want? Lei Lin spread out his hands, seeming somewhat helpless, but deep in his eyes, there was a mocking look. I didn't expect Lei Lin to be so talkative. After holding it back for a while, Olin finally said, swear, you won't provoke Besta in the future. Okay. Lei Lin agreed with one breath, and his right hand caressed the badge on his chest, which had the design of a crossed sword and a lark on it. This was the emblem of the Farrell family. I swear in the name of the Pharaoh family not to provoke Besta on my own in the future. Taking an oath in the name of a family is a very serious oath among nobles, and those who violate it will be despised by all nobles. So, Mr. Olin, may I go now? Lei Lin bowed slightly and performed a perfect aristocratic salute. Wait. It seemed like Raylan's weakness, which was somewhat beyond Olin's expectations. At this moment, his eyes showed a greedy look. According to the law of the nobility, you still need to compensate. Hand over all the magic stones in your hand. Magic stone. The surrounding audience exclaimed in surprise. Is it a magic stone? Raylin repeated, according to memory, the magic stone seemed to be the universal currency among wizards, and it was also a necessary fee for the entrance of wizard apprentices without tokens. Laylin didn't know how much it would cost to enroll formally, as he didn't have a magic stone on him. Viscount John seemed to have used many methods to collect magic stones, but unfortunately he didn't get any, which shows the preciousness of magic stones. P.S. Thank you to book friends for clicking, collecting, and recommending. And the first reward from Jiqing Mia. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Extortion, Seeking Collection Recommendations. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Extortion, Seeking Collection Recommendations. Lei Lin has been avoiding meaningless fights. After all, in his opinion, the pleasure of winning over the opponent is far less enjoyable than gaining strength through cultivation. Moreover, there was no hatred between him and Olin, or even gratitude to the other party for seriously injuring the original Lei Lin, which gave him the opportunity to be reborn. Lei Lin is a person who values practicality, and for him, face is far less important than substance. Even if he swore with family honor, there was no loss for him, but Olin's later demands hit the bottom line. You can't do this. Lord Blackrobe won't let you go. Lei Lin tightly grasped the pocket in his hand, looking anxious. Haha. How could those black robes interfere with our affairs? You forgot that you were beaten to death by me last time, and no one came to take care of you, right? If you don't want me to break your ribs one by one, just hand over the magic stone obediently, said Olin as he pressed his fist and his bones made a crisp popping sound as Olin approached. The tall figure submerged Raylan in the darkness. Lei Lin looked around. It was already quite far from the campsite, and there were only a few young people brought by Olin. Now they were all looking at the play. No need to look, no one will come to save you. Olin grinned grimly. Really? It's good if no one comes. Lei Lin suddenly smiled. With a flash of his figure, when he reappeared, he had already arrived behind Olin and said, I happen to seek revenge for what happened that day. Kick it hard. Kicked against Olin's waist with a strong gust of wind. Olin felt a huge force coming from Raylan's feet, kicking his body into mid-air. Bang! Olin fell to the ground, and the sharp pain from his waist made his eyes turn red. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you harm me? You're dead. I'm going to hang you alive. Olin suddenly stood up, his eyes emitting a bloodthirsty and brutal light. Is this the advantage of having a good physique? Seeing the 50% strength kick just now, Lei Lin's pupils shrank as if nothing had happened to him. Ha! Olin waved his fist like a raging black bear. Lei Lin dodged Olin's fist and saw it hit the small tree behind him, leaving a deep dent. With a force of 1.7, it was truly remarkable. What heavy fists, even my physique can't hold up a few punches. Lei Lin thought quickly. Chip. Simulate the best defeat plan. Drip. Mission establishment. Start auxiliary mode. The sound of the chip came, and the powerful computing power instantly came up with the best solution. Squat down, the chip prompted, and Raylan crouched down to avoid the roaring attack from Olin. Enemy defense has broken. Best attack position. Armpit. The chip heard a sound. Leyleen's figure flashed continuously, avoiding Olin's attack and approaching. You know what? Although your strength is strong, unfortunately your body method is not flexible enough. Is this the disadvantage brought by your physique? Leylin was able to speak while attacking, showing that there was still room for strength. Is this the same as Leylin before? How could he be so powerful? The onlookers opened their mouths in surprise. Amidst the incredulous gazes of the surrounding audience, Raylan punched out. Centered under Olin's armpit, he exerted all his strength. Under attack, Olin fell to the ground with a painful expression, unable to get up for half a day. Leylin exerted all his strength and had a strength of 1.5, which was not much worse than Olin's. The vulnerable part of his armpit was hit again. Olin fell to the ground, his eyes bloodshot, and he let out a low roar, "You're dead. My family won't let you go." Oh. Is that right? Regarding the threat, Leylin remained expressionless, but he added a foot to Olin's lower abdomen, causing him to curl up like a cooked shrimp. Leylin squatted down and looked at Olin with a smile on his face. "Since you won't let me go, should I take action first? It's better to kill you." At this moment, Raylan's smile seemed like a demon to Olin. He's not joking, he really dares to take action. Olin saw the murderous aura in Raylan's eyes, and immediately felt as if he was being stared at by a lion. The anger in his mind disappeared and replaced it with fear. "Mr. Leylin. Mr. Leylin. You can't do this. The Donglan family is behind me. If you kill me, it will cause a lot of trouble. Do you admit your mistake?" Leylin asked sarcastically. "I admit my mistake. I apologize. I'm sorry." Under the pressure of death, Olin quickly succumbed. "Very well, I accept your apology. Additionally, according to noble law, I have the right to demand compensation." Leylin smiled and said, but it gave Olin a bad feeling. "As compensation, you can hand over the magic stone in your hand." Sure enough, Leylin smiled and said the words of extortion. "Oh. No. You can't do this. Do you know how many people my family sacrificed for these magic stones?" Olin struggled. Sometimes things in the world are just simple multiple-choice questions. "Now it's your turn, dear Olin. Life is still a magic stone, choose one." Leylin's plea for mercy did not waver in his heart. Instead, he stepped on his face and gradually exerted force. The leather boots stepped on Olin's face, pressing his head deeply into the soil, bringing a suffocating feeling. After a few minutes, Leylin finally regained some strength and said, "How about it? Have you considered it clearly?" Puff. Olin breathed in the sweet and fresh air, his big face covered in mud and footprints, looking very comical. But none of the teenagers around dared to laugh out loud. A young man stepped back slightly and wanted to leave here. Leylin picked up a pebble and said, "Wind speed calculation completed. Shooting trajectory adjustment." Shoo. The pebble was right in the middle of the boy's leg, bending as he ran away, beating him to the ground. "Olin, do you see that? You don't have to wait for reinforcements anymore. Also, don't try to challenge my patience anymore." Leylin looked at the young people around him, and those who were swept by Leylin's gaze all lowered their heads, their bodies trembling. "Okay. I can give you the magic stone. But mine is on the car. You come back with me to get it," Olin said in a submissive voice. "Do you think I'm a fool if you don't carry the magic stone with you and instead put it on the carriage?" Such a naive lie cannot be concealed from Leylin. "It seems you haven't had enough of your suffering yet." Leylin's eyes flashed with a fierce light, grabbing Olin's arm and suddenly folding it. Ga la. The piercing sound of a broken bone was heard, accompanied by Olin's screams. "If you don't tell the truth, I'll break your other arm." No. 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 You can't do this, the black-robed adults won't let you go. Olin covered his arm and rolled on the ground. Haha. How could those black robes interfere with our affairs? You forgot that I was beaten to death by you last time, and no one came to take care of me, right? Leylin sneered and returned Olin's previous words. It seems that you really want to die. Leylin stepped forward and started again. Wait. Wait. All right. I'll give you the magic stone, you must swear not to retaliate against me again. Olin yelled as he saw Leylin coming over. Okay. I swear by the honor of the Feral family. Raylin agreed. Olin's face turned blue as he struggled to sit on the ground. He took out a golden wallet from his arms and threw it to Raylin, saying, My magic stones are all here. Leylin caught it and saw that it was a palm-sized wallet embroidered with gold and silver thread. There was also a pattern in the middle, depicting an eagle and a shield. There was also a delicate plant pattern around it, which looked like a national emblem. Leylin opened his wallet and saw over a dozen black crystals the size of nails lying quietly inside. Drip. Unknown energy source detected. The chip issued a reminder. How about it? Can it be used? Leylin smiled. Compared to the database. There is not enough data. No utilization method found. Warning. This energy source contains unknown trace amounts of radiation, it is recommended that the subject strengthen protection. Is that so? Leylin thought and immediately looked at Olin, asking, Which college are you going to? Wetland Garden. Olin's face was very unpleasant. Wetland Garden. I've heard that the admission fee is 10 magic stones, right? That's right. Where did you hear that? Olin was a little surprised. Leylin smiled slightly, looking somewhat mysterious. He has never heard of any wetland gardens at all, he just deliberately tricked Olin. Anyway, the large admission fees are mostly whole numbers, so it's not a big deal to guess wrong. Okay. Give it back to you. Leylin took out 3 magic stones from his wallet and threw the remaining stones and the wallet back to Olin. These 3 magic stones are the compensation I am asking for. Although I can take all the magic stones now, it's a pity that Raylin is not sure about the attitude of Black Robe and White Robe towards this matter. He doesn't want to try the law, explore their patience, and leave enough magic stones for Orin to enroll in. Even if he starts to argue, there will be an excuse. Thank you. Thank you. Olin's face improved a lot. If he lost all the magic stones and couldn't enroll, he really didn't know how to go back and face the family. Don't worry. I won't take your magic stone. Leylin looked up and saw other noble youths gathered in a pile, their palms tightly wrapped in their arms, shaking his head involuntarily. Thank you, Lord Leylin. Upon hearing Leylin's promise, the other boys breathed a sigh of relief and quickly bowed. However, I demand other compensation. Leylin looked at a young man who had just wanted to run and repay the letter, but was beaten to the ground. The cross sword on your waist is good. Leylin looked at the young man and felt a little uneasy before pointing to the cross sword on his waist and saying. Upon hearing this hint, the young man quickly said, Give it to the adults. Haha. Then I won't be polite. Leylin took the cross sword from the boy's hand, weighed it, and nodded with satisfaction. As a noble sword, this cross sword has excellent quality. The handle of the sword is not only decorated with beautiful patterns to prevent slipping, but the scabbard is also made of shark skin, giving it a luxurious feeling. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Union. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Union. So the time division of this world is very similar to the past life. Playing with a crystal pocket watch in his hand, Leylin thought to himself. This crystal pocket watch is exquisitely crafted, with 24 small compartments inside, each representing an hour of time. He not only extorted weapons from the noble youth who followed Olin, but also looted thousands of gold coins. This pocket watch was contributed by a chubby little man. As for the family's retaliation, the East Orchid family to which Olin belongs to the Kingdom of Bourbon, separated from Viscount John's territory by several kingdoms, and the alliance between the two countries is in a hostile state. Not to mention, it takes at least a few years for wizards to learn, and it also takes at least a few years for transportation letters to be transmitted back. Lei Lin just thought about it and left Olin and his family behind. I made a small profit this time. And there's also the magic stone, which is the currency between wizards and very useful for apprentices. Lei Lin took out a magic stone and rubbed it against his heart, feeling a cold touch constantly coming in. The calculation of the foundation chip shows that although this magic stone has a trace amount of radiation, its impact on the body seems to be positive and can increase physical activity. However, since the story of defeating Olin spread, people around me have changed their attitudes towards me. Should I say, is this really a world of worshipping power? 2 days have passed since the last incident, and Lei Lin's achievements have also been passed down among the aristocratic youth. Especially the scene where Olin's arm was broken with a smile became a nightmare for the young man present at the time. After Olin returned, he hid in the carriage to recuperate, while other noble youths trembled and ran away quickly when they saw Lei Lin. Hi. Lei Lin, are you going to play together? A noblewoman in the same car came over and asked, dressed in a noble dress and wearing stockings similar to Raylan's previous life on her long legs, which looked pretty good. At this time, the custom was still to worship the strong. Lei Lin now felt that the atmosphere on the carriage had improved a lot, and there was no resistance against him together. Even a few noble girls invited him. This girl, also on the same carriage as him, is named Lily. Thank you. However, I have friends coming. Lei Lin apologized. Oh. I was impolite. Then I'll invite you again later. The long-legged girl smiled coquettishly, then lifted her skirt and performed a noble salute. The little girl now is really. Lei Lin smiled bitterly in his heart. Haha. What did I see? Our love Saint Lei Lin, who is the first girl to invite you. An exaggerated voice came in. Can I compare to you? Sardinia's Golden Lion, your name is circulating in the girls' circle of the entire team. Lei Lin rolled his eyes. Aren't you afraid now that you don't want to be isolated by everyone? Fong Ming looked at George as he walked over. You are currently a hot topic in the campsite. Many girls and children are interested in you. That Lilith was very nice just now. George laughed and said, also, congratulations on completing your revenge. With a flick of his hand, a glass bottle curved over and was firmly caught by Raylan. Pulling out the oak cork, a fruity aroma mixed with the smell of alcohol wafted out, and Lei Lin unconsciously took a deep sniff. Apple cider. I haven't had much of it these past few months. That's right. And it's still a specialty of our federation, and it's not easy for me to hide it until now. George opened the bottle in his hand. To our Lei Lin. Cheers. Cheers. Lei Lin smiled as the bottles collided and made a crisp sound. Also, thank you. Lei Lin said sincerely. Although George has the strength of a reserve knight, he is the leader among these aristocratic youths. Previously, with just a slight move, he could clean up Olin. But he took care of Lei Lin's emotions, only secretly helping Lei Lin improve his strength, and hiding their relationship, allowing Olin to be reckless and come to trouble again, ultimately helping Lei Lin complete revenge. This effectively protects the self-esteem of the nobility. From this, it can be seen that his mind is meticulous and he is very good at taking care of others' emotions. This is no longer about winning people's hearts, but about sincerely moving others. I should say, truly worthy of Sardinia's Golden Lion family and the leader of the Golden Sparrow Alliance. Lei Lin thought to himself. No need to thank you. We are all members of the Canary Blossom Alliance, how could we see you being bullied by those Yankees? George laughed and drank the apple cider from the bottle in one breath. Unfortunately, it's getting deeper and deeper into the wilderness now. We haven't passed through big cities for a long time, and it's even difficult to find supplies. George seems to be savoring the apple cider just now, with some regret. By the way, we're going to have a barbecue party tonight, all of us nobles of the Golden Sparrow Flower. Are you coming? George issued an invitation. Of course. This is my honor. Lei Lin responded with a smile. As a noble in the Golden Sparrow Alliance, he can only join this circle. Joining a group when one's strength is weak is indeed a way to ensure safety. At night, the sky was filled with fluorescent stars, casting a silver glow on the earth. Inside the campsite, groups of young girls sat around the campfire, laughing and playing, very lively. Several months of life have made them very close. Come, Raylan, let me introduce you to you. This is the legitimate son of the Earls of Jotham and Nanmere. Hello. Lei Lin, you've beaten up Aline's name, I've really admired it. Yofin smiled and extended his hand. Hello. Raleigh smiled sincerely and shook hands with Joachim. These are Rosewood and Rosewood sisters. They are all your admirers. George took Lei Lin and walked around the campfire like butterflies and flowers, introducing him from time to time. Hello, Mr. Lei Lin. The two sisters look exactly the same. They have sparkling green eyes, speak and salute with one voice, and their faces are flushed. Beautiful ladies. Hello. It's an honor to meet you for the first time. Lei Lin caressed his chest and performed an elegant aristocratic salute. Watching the two young girls blush and run away, George looked as if he was about to faint. Kid. You're lucky. They seem to be very interested in you. These are twins. Twins. George said with a dance of his hands, feeling a little heartbroken. All right. I think, with supplies starting to be scarce, organizing this banquet may not be as simple as finding a lover. Lei Lin said. He is still able to restrain his desires, although he doesn't mind occasional relaxation, it still depends on the occasion. It's really great that you can see this too. George said, his playful expression disappearing, and he had a hint of leadership. Strode to the center of the field and tapped the silver spoon in his hand. Ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to bother you, please shift your gaze to this side first. George clearly had a high reputation among this group of people, and the bustling crowd around him stopped their activities and focused their attention on the center of the venue. First of all, let's warmly welcome the new companion to join us. He's Raleigh. George exclaimed loudly, applauding first. Pop pop pop. Warm applause echoed from around, like a tide. Lei Lin stood up and bowed to the surroundings. Okay. George waved his hand and suppressed the applause before continuing, we formed this small alliance to ensure that every apprentice of our canary can safely reach the academy and become a respected wizard. And now, my friends, our trouble is here. George's face was a bit gloomy, and his words also fell low. Influenced by him, the atmosphere nearby was also silent, with only George's voice still flowing quietly. We have almost exited the wilderness and entered the death grassland. This is our last and most dangerous journey. The death grassland. Lei Lin was startled and immediately flipped through the memories of his former playboy. According to the memory compiled by the previous chip, the continent where Lei Lin is located is very broad and vast, covered with dense duchies and without a unified name. The Canary Blossom Alliance, where Viscount Lei Lin was originally located, is located in the southeast corner of this continent. They seem to be a relatively early group of apprentices, and the convoy has traveled northward, crossing many principalities and kingdoms, and has already reached the northern part of the mainland. After crossing the wilderness, to the north lies a vast and narrow grassland. It is said that across from the grassland lies the sea. And this grassland, full of crises, has always been a forbidden zone for humanity. It is said that the grasslands are filled with ferocious beasts, even the most heinous bandits dare not enter the grasslands, and beneath every piece of grassland, there are the bones of mercenaries, adventurers, and travelers. Now, the carriage convoy filled with wizard apprentices is about to cross this death grassland and reach the coastline. With the protection of adults in black and white robes, we can definitely pass. There was a commotion in the crowd, and then a fat man said, "That's right. With the protection of wizards and knights, our probability of passing is high. But there are always times when adults cannot take care of them, and death may occur. This person may be me or you. Do you want to accept this outcome?" George asked. "Of course not," the chubby man shouted, then his face turned red and he sat back. "Not bad. Our goal is to lead to the Wizarding Academy across the sea and become esteemed wizards, but the cruel screening starts from now on. According to the intelligence obtained by my father, every time a wizard carriage is used, there will be casualties on the grassland." George continued to speak, uncovering a true and cruel corner. What should we do?" Many young girls panicked and looked pale at George, hoping he could come up with an idea. Thank you for the support of our book friends. Thank you for copying the text. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Entering the Grassland. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Entering the Grassland. Of course, our goal in establishing the alliance is for this. George shouted loudly. I have already discussed with several other carriage owners and asked them to vacate the carriage's position. In the future, we, the members of the Golden Sparrow Alliance, will sit in the nearby carriages. This has also been allowed by Black Robe. And, as noble gentlemen, we will also form a guard team to take turns protecting the safety of these carriages. Of course, under the premise of assisting the black-robed knights, as for the beautiful ladies, logistics, and cleaning issues, you will have to worry about them. As for the weapons, you don't have to worry. I'm already prepared and have even obtained a crossbow. George loudly announced his plans. After a round of discussion, the young girls all expressed their support for it. Okay. We agree. As for the position of the leader of the escort team, it was only natural for George to take over. George then took advantage of the heat and assigned several tasks. Subsequently, it was announced that the banquet would continue, but it was clear that everyone's enthusiasm had dissipated. I originally planned to find you another cross sword, but now it doesn't seem necessary. George walked up to Leylin with his glass in hand and pointed to the hilt of his sword at Leylin's waist. Is it true that every time a wizard convoy passes through the grasslands, there are deaths? Leylin asked. Of course, if it's good, there would only be 1 or 2, and at most, around 10 died at one time. George shrugged his shoulders. Otherwise, why did I put in so much effort to form an alliance that would dissolve when it reached the coastline? After planting the seeds, there will always be a harvest. Leylin said with a smile. Anyway, forming a group of people can indeed improve survival rates, and these surviving apprentices will show goodwill towards George and his family. As long as one of these apprentices can advance to become a wizard, it will be a great reward. Even if not, it's not a loss, is it? Besides swordsmanship, your wisdom also amazed me. George's eyes lit up. These are still what my dad ordered. So, would you be willing to help me? George extended his hand. As you wish. Leylin smiled and held his hands together. Leylin agreed to George's request not on impulse, but through careful consideration. He is not very familiar with the dangers of grasslands. In this situation, joining a collective and cooperating to clear customs is also a good way. A gust of cold wind blew through his face, hitting him like a knife. Leylin sucked his nose and smelled the fragrance of green grass. It's been 15 days since we entered the Death Grassland. Lei Lin looked back at the carriage, looking at the marks on several carriages, with a somewhat gloomy expression on his face. These traces are all three interconnected, resembling the claw marks of some kind of creature. The danger on the Death Grassland is indeed beyond our ordinary people or even reserve knights' ability to resist. Since entering the grassland, although the adults in black and white robes have intensified their patrols, and the apprentices have also huddled together, there have still been casualties. The marks on the carriage were caused by a group of grassland scavengers, which was a siege suffered by the convoy when they first entered the grassland. Although there were no casualties, the wolf pack once charged to the edge of the carriage and even caused damage to the body, leaving a deep impression on Raylan. Since then, apprentices can no longer camp under the carriage, they sleep on the carriage. Even so, there have been casualties. Lei Lin's face was gloomy. Although protected by black-robed knights on the carriage, the teenagers always have to go out to rest and meet their physiological needs, which means danger in this crisis-ridden grassland. A young man was bitten to death by a poisonous insect while getting off the car. Based on the analysis of the basic chip, the toxin of that poisonous insect can corrode the brain nerves in 13 seconds, and there is no time to cure it. Even a few white-robed wizards can only watch the young man's venomous hair. From then on, the apprentices never got off the carriage unless absolutely necessary, and the carriage was not only cramped, but with so many people staying together, the taste was naturally not very good. Lei Lin got a chance to let go at the cost of driving the carriage for Black Robe. Although sitting outside the carriage may seem dangerous, being next to the black-robed knight is actually safer. As for the technique of driving carriages, Lei Lin just followed Black Robe for a while, and the chip completely recorded it. It's getting dark. Everyone circle the carriage and rest on it. A previous sound sounded, and the entire convoy suddenly came to a stop. Driving at night is not only dangerous, but also horses do not have rest and are prone to death, making it even more troublesome. Your driving skills are good. The black-robed knight on one side opened his slightly narrowed eyes and spoke in a low voice. Thank you for the compliment. Lei Lin nodded. Returning to the carriage, a strong smell rushed towards Lei Lin's face, causing him to furrow his brows. Seeing the lifeless faces of the apprentices, Lei Lin sighed inwardly. Since the casualties occurred, the faces of the young girls have also lost many smiles, and the atmosphere is very gloomy and tragic. He doesn't like to stay in the carriage, and there are also reasons for this. Lei Lin, you're back. A freckled boy next to his seat forced out a smile and greeted him. Lei Lin looked around slightly and took out a few pieces of dough to nibble on. The dry pancake was chewing in his mouth, like chewing sand, and the taste was very unpleasant. However, Lei Lin still held back and swallowed the pancake, cutting through his throat and causing a sharp pain. Lei Lin quickly opened the kettle, took a few big sips, and finally took a deep breath. Since entering the grassland, even supply has become a problem. Although the apprentices have plenty of gold coins, without shops and merchants, gold coins are no better than stones. Lei Lin, how is the situation? How many more days will we be able to leave this damn grassland? The freckled boy waited until Lei Lin finished eating before asking. His words clearly caught the attention of the people in the carriage, and several gazes converged on Lei Lin. When I was driving, I talked to Hypo and we have already traveled half the way. If the journey goes smoothly, we can reach the coastline in another half-month. Oh my goodness. There's still half a month left. I can't even bear this kind of ghost day anymore. The freckled boy grabbed his hair in frustration and complained. Hey! Take a look, Casa. Just hold on for 15 more days and we'll reach the coastline. Delicious fruit pulp, soft white bread, comfortable big bed, and warm bathroom are all waiting for you. A boy on one side was cheering Casa up, unsure if this was meant for Casa or for himself. Dong dong. A regular knocking sound came at the door, and the carriage door opened. George was wearing soft armor and a long sword at his waist, looking like a handsome knight. "Hi. Gentlemen. Ladies. It's time for rest. If you want to go out and relax, please come out. If you don't need it, please stay on the carriage, after all, it's very dangerous outside." There was a commotion in the carriage, and several blushing girls glanced at each other before getting up and getting off the carriage. Lei Lin shrugged and grabbed the cross sword. "Let's go." As a security guard, he also needs to get off the car to protect these delicate ladies, although at most it's just issuing an alarm and calling for the black-robed knight to come and rescue. I won't go for now." Casa twisted her body anxiously on one side. "Okay." Lei Lin spread his hand and got off the carriage. Stepping on the soft grass, Lei Lin couldn't help but stretch lazily. The endless grassland looked very beautiful at this moment. If there were not so many dangers, Lei Lin might have liked the scenery here. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" George looked at the slowly setting sun in the distance and said. "It's very beautiful and also very dangerous." Lei Lin murmured. "There is danger everywhere, friend. Disease, famine, war, this world is full of life and death crises. Although it is a life-threatening danger for us, for the white-robed wizards, it is like spreading in their own backyard." George clenched his standard long sword in his hand. "Are you saying that as long as you have strength, you can obtain safety and freedom?" "Not bad. Just like Casa, he has lost his courage and lacks the spirit of adventure in the pursuit of power. Even if he safely reaches the Wizarding Academy, he may not be able to become a wizard. After all, the process of learning witchcraft is 100 times more dangerous than the Death Grassland." George threw a stone away from his hand and said, "It's time to protect our beautiful little babies." Looking at George's back, Raylan smiled and said, "Courage. But for me, who pursues truth, prudence is equally important. Chip. Start scanning." Lei Lin muttered to himself. With the command, a 3-dimensional image was formed in front of Lei Lin, depicting the nearby terrain. On the light blue geographical image, there are scattered white dots representing apprentices, indicating that they will not cause any damage to the Thunder Forest. And the black-robed knights are shining red dots, which, after chip analysis, are believed to pose a threat to the subject's life. In the middle of the carriages, there were several white-robed wizards living inside. Lei Lin now dared not even scan them with a chip, afraid of being detected by the other party for fluctuations, which would lead to a bad ending. Through continuous scanning, dangerous situations around him all appeared one by one in Lei Lin's mind. Even if there were those poisonous insects, they couldn't escape the scanning of the chip. Now it seems that this place is still relatively safe. This is the guarantee that Lei Lin dares to come out. Although he agreed to be a member of the escort team, he still wouldn't do anything foolish that would put himself in danger. Through the chip, he can fully grasp the situation within a radius of 20 miles, which can also ensure his safety to the greatest extent possible. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Decaying Wolf Pack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Decaying Wolf Pack. Exactly. We've run out of snake fruit again, so we can take the opportunity to collect some more, but I'm not sure if there are any other plants like this on the grassland. Lei Lin thought to himself, gradually moving away from the convoy. Chip. Retrieve my current body data. Drip. Raylan Feral Strength. 1.6 Agility. 1.7 Physical Fitness. 1.5 Status. Healthy. Feedback from the chip is transmitted. The increase is very small, only about 0.1. Lei Lin frowned. Since everyone has been resting in the carriage, we can't find a suitable place to practice breathing techniques. Moreover, the effects of various medicines are also weakening. According to calculations, the optimized cross-sword breathing technique can increase my physical fitness data to around 1.9, which is the limit. The rest must stimulate the life energy in my body, and only after becoming a knight can I grow. Lei Lin was monitoring the girls in the Canary Blossom Alliance from a distance, looking down for usable plant materials. After a long time, I finally looked up helplessly. Sure enough. The living environment is different, and the flower-free snake fruit cannot survive on the grassland, even substitutes cannot be found. Hey! Raleigh! It's time to get in the car. George's voice came out loud. Got it. A person strolled in the distance, not only eye-catching but also dangerous. Seeing this, Lei Lin could only give up today's plan and prepare to return to the carriage. Warning! Warning! Dangerous creatures are approaching. At this moment, the chip heard a sound, and red warning font appeared in front of Lei Lin, which looked very eye-catching. Quick! Retrieve the image. Lei Lin's face remained unchanged, but his footsteps quickened a lot, almost reaching the limit of his physical body. His right hand tightly grasped the handle of the cross sword in his hand. In the virtual image before us, a group of red spots are displayed, approaching the convoy and surrounding it like pockets. According to the database comparison, the similarity between dangerous organisms and scavenger wolves is 97.8%. The scavenger wolf. Lei Lin narrowed his eyes and remembered the data he had collected before. The scavenger wolf is a species of grassland wolf, with a fierce temperament and usually hunts in groups. Its strength is estimated to be 2.3, agility is estimated to be 3.4, and physique is estimated to be 3.4. This kind of strength is definitely not something that I, as a reserve knight, can resist. Lei Lin quickened his pace again and rushed to George, whispering, "We're in trouble." George looked around and saw that the students were still doing their own thing. He took off the kettle and covered up his movements, saying, "What's the situation?" "A pack of scavengers." "I see the trail of a pack of scavengers," Lei Lin said urgently and quickly. "I know." George took a few hard sips of water and made a few simple gestures. The young men selected to join the guard around were taken aback, but they still remembered the agreed signals and began to move back, pulling the confused girls back. Occasionally speaking in their ears, the whole process remained silent. Some other apprentices realized something was wrong and began to retreat, while others remained bewildered. When in danger, sometimes you just need to run faster than your companions. "Let's go." George and Raleigh quickly followed after seeing that everyone in his alliance was almost done. Unexpectedly, Raylan, you still have this skill in reconnaissance, George whispered. After spending so much time with Raylan, he already knew him well and knew that the other party could not lie and deceive him. Although the apprentices of the Golden Sparrow Alliance quietly and inconspicuously retreated, there were always some observant apprentices who noticed that they were also quietly retreating. Bang bang. The piercing sound of copper gongs sounded. The adults have detected the danger, the apprentice should hurry back to the carriage. The sound of the black robe sounded like thunder, exploding beside the ears of each apprentice. The apprentices resting on the grass suddenly fell silent, then scattered in a swarm and rushed towards the convoy. No need to hide it. Run quickly. George let out a loud shout and drew out his long sword. Now the apprentices of the Canary Blossom Alliance have received a warning and have run a distance, with the first few even getting on the carriage. Oh no! At this moment, a long and desolate wolf roar accompanied by bloodthirsty ferocity came. Wolves call one after another, and since their prey has discovered an ambush, they immediately choose to attack. Black wolf shadows, with a body length of 2 or 3 meters, rushed towards the apprentices, bringing up a series of black illusions. A pack of decaying wolves, shouted the last apprentice in despair. Immediately, a black shadow pounced on him, with a huge impact force that knocked the girl to the ground in a single game. Then, a wolf kiss full of sharp teeth mercilessly bit down, completely biting the throat of the girl with a desperate expression on her face. The escaping apprentices were attracted by the shouting and turned their heads to glance, then screams kept ringing and they ran faster. A girl with tears on her face ran and shouted, "Mom! Mom! I want Mom!" Poor little one, is he already mentally exhausted now? Lei Lin ran to the side of the carriage and turned to look at the situation in the field. Shush! At this moment, 7 black shadows rushed out of the convoy, carrying a giant sword as tall as others, cutting through the air and charging towards the wolf pack. It's the black-robed knights. They took action. Lei Lin thought to himself. The average value of the scavenger wolf is around 3, which is equivalent to the value of a knight. However, humans can use weapons and have intelligence, and knights have secret skills that can greatly stimulate their own potential and unleash amazing power. If it's 1.1 or even 1.1, the scavenger wolf is definitely not an opponent, but now. Lei Lin looked worried as he looked at the hundreds of red dots surrounding him. Last time, only nearly 100 scavenger wolves had already crashed into the carriage, causing damage to the body, but now there are hundreds. Maybe today we can see the mysterious wizard take action. Puff! The black-robed knight wielded a giant sword, flashing a brilliant silver light, and chopped a decaying wolf in half. Hee hee! The knight licked the blood on his lips, looking very fierce. Come on, little ones. Thank you. Thank you, sir. The little girl who was saved by him thanked intermittently, tears not yet completely falling from her face. She was the girl who cried and called for her mother just now. Are you an idiot? Hurry up and go back. The knight didn't turn back and charged towards the wolf pack. The little girl woke up like a dream and ran towards the carriage with big strides. Hurry up. Circle the carriage into a defensive formation, with the girl behind and the boys picking up their cross swords and moving forward. The black-robed knight who stayed in the convoy loudly commanded. Okay. George got up first, loudly agreed, and jumped onto a carriage, directing the members of the alliance. It's time to go all out. Lei Lin clenched the cross sword in his hand and murmured to himself. Looking back at the field, he reminded me that the damage to the Canary League was minimal, except for a few unlucky runners who fell while running. There were actually no casualties. On the contrary, other apprentices suffered some heavy casualties, such as the group led by Oren. Lei Lin found that 2 of the noble youths who had been following Oren were missing, and the rest were all injured, so he managed to escape back to the convoy. All right. Everything that can be saved has been saved. Engri, with blood clots on his body, returned to the defensive formation without any concern. At another glance, I saw Lei Lin holding his sword in both hands, ready to fight. Are you not afraid? The black-robed knight asked. It's already this time. What's the use, I'm afraid. Lei Lin replied, but his hands clenched a little tighter. He had rarely seen such a bloody scene in his past life. Hee hee. The scavenger wolves are very smart and cunning. As long as we let them know, our side is a hard bone, and if we want to gnaw on them, they will definitely suffer heavy casualties. They will definitely leave. Engri said calmly. Although he didn't know if the knight was comforting, Raylan breathed a clear sigh of relief. Oh no. The several apprentices who had fallen before have all lost their breath now, attracted by the smell of blood. These scavenger wolves have lost their rationality and are fiercely charging towards the convoy. Here we are. Attention everyone. Although we will do our best to protect, there will always be omissions, and then you will have to work hard on your own. Engri shouted, then waved his giant sword and stood at the front with the other black-robed knights. Kill! The knights shouted loudly, and Lei Lin even saw a faint light on their giant sword. The giant sword slashed down, causing a large opening in the chest of the decaying wolf who was charging at the front. It rolled back and scattered blood droplets in mid-air. For a moment, more than a dozen dark shadows, like steel fortresses, firmly blocked the pack of scavengers from outside. We should also go. Reduce consumption for the knights. George walked up to Raylan. If this continues, the knight's stamina will be insufficient, causing great danger. Leyland nodded as well. At George's call, all the men drew their long swords and followed the knight, facing the fierce wolf pack from the side. Oh no! The wolf howled incessantly. Facing Leyland was a giant wolf over 2 meters long. The scavenger wolf kept roaring, and even Leyland could smell the stench from the opposite scavenger wolf. Chip. Simulate the scene and design the best kill plan. Task establishment, start simulation. Enter the auxiliary interface. Leyland's eyes lit up with a flash of fluorescence, and the surrounding 3-dimensional images appeared. And the scavenger wolf on the opposite side finally launched an attack, with a shiny claw and mottled blood stains, catching Leyland and creating a hot and fishy atmosphere. The subject is under attack. Best response. Move the cross sword 50 degrees from the right and stab directly. Drink. Leyland roared, using his breathing technique and stirring the strength of each muscle in his arms. He drew his sword from the right side and lifted the wolf's paw away. Bang! Leyland felt a huge recoil coming from his hand, almost making him think he had cut a waist-thick iron wood. The power of the scavenger wolf is greater than mine. If I try a few more times, I will lose my strength. We must fight quickly and make a quick decision. End of this chapter.